good evening, Wolves. I'm Romero. I bought my slices, so in a good 50 minutes, I'm going to go upstairs and get my slices, right? Yeah. Got your check, Ivan? Yeah, I got like $94. With my tip, I made about $100. Yeah. We're going to do my SHL show. So, Ivan, it's too late for the NHL athletes. Yes, it is. But like some of the players playing in the NHL will most likely get sport anchor jobs or maybe even coaching jobs, front office GM jobs in my league. Some of the players, right? So even though they're not players, they can still be legendary coaches in my league. Make the Hall of Fame as a coach, right? So yeah, some of the players, right? Yeah. Yeah. So I have the peak for a player in your league is $32 million. Yes. Don't pay a player any more than $32 million. They're not worth $50 million in my league. The non-generational talent. If the player is a non-generational talent, they're amazing players, but they're more like normal on the ice, they blend with everyone else. They're not worth any more than $32 million. Whereas the rare talent, like Sidney Crosby, McDavid, and Ovechkin, those guys are worth $35 to $50 million because they're rare talent on the ice. They stand out from the other players and they put on more of a show on television. That's why they're worth, and they help the teams win games. That's why they're worth more money. Why? What does it mean to be generational talent in hockey? Generational talent means you're rare talent. You're unique on the ice. Like you're not a normal player. Like you're very unique on the ice. You stand out from the other players. Whereas the other star players in the NHL, non-generational players, they're amazing. They're fucking amazing players. They're almost as good as generational talent players, but they're not really unique players. They kind of blend everyone else. Or a bit more normal on it. They put on a show too. They do have amazing moves and everything, but they don't do the kind of stuff that the generational talent players are players who do like godlike, unspeakable things on the ice, where you're just shocked by like some of the stuff they do. Right? The non-generational players don't really do that. Sometimes they do, but they're more normal on the ice. They blend with everyone else, but they're still fucking amazing players. The non-generational players in the NHL. Oh, you're just a fucking dick. Watch this the truth, right? Non-generational players are players who are more normal. They're amazing players. They put on a show too, but they're more normal on the ice and they kind of blend in with the other players, right? Yeah. Well, you guys just said, Yeah. Yeah. That's why Sidney Crosby and David Ovechkin will be crushed because they would have made way more money in my league than they would working in the NHL, right? They would have made their $40-50 million. They would have made their $400 million, $450 million in career earnings, something crazy. Even $500 million career earnings, those guys. Ovechkin, McDavid, and Crosby. Because those players are generational players, obviously. They're rare talent on the ice. Yeah. You know Ovechkin's rare talent. Ovechkin fucking beat Wayne Gretzky's scoring record, man. Like, Ovechkin's a fucking beast, man. He beat Wayne Gretzky 894 goals scoring record. That's fucking crazy. Obviously. But no one else will ever beat that. Like Gretzky will remain second forever. I don't think anyone ever beat that. It's very tough to beat 894 goals. That's fucking crazy, man. You think McDavid will beat Gretzky or Crosby will beat Gretzky's record? No. It's not even close, man. No, they're not going to beat that, man. Can't beat that. Well, Ovechkin, because he's Russian and he's a generational player, he actually beat Wayne Gretzky's scoring record. obviously, but he'll never beat like his assists, obviously, right? That's my point, right? Yeah. My younger brother thinks Ovechkin's better than Crosby. We had a debate back and forth. I'm like, no, Crosby's better. He's like, nah, Ivan, Ovechkin's better, Ivan. I think Ovechkin's better. He thinks Ovechkin's better. Yeah, my younger brother, right? Yeah. What's the one thing you think Crosby has over McDavid? Even though I think McDavid and Crosby are pretty much equals, they're pretty much equal in talent. Obviously, the one thing Crosby has over McDavid is that he McDavid. The thing about McDavid, even though he's an amazing player, he chokes in championship games. He doesn't do that good in championship games. He chokes. McDavid. He's kind of like a Peyton Manning of the NFL, right? All you NFL fans don't talk about Peyton Manning, even though he was an amazing quarterback. He's not Tom Brady. He always choked in the playoffs, Peyton Manning. He chokes in the play. Peyton Manning was the kind of quarterback who choked in the playoffs. Whereas Tom Brady is more relaxed, he doesn't choke in the playoffs. Crosby doesn't really choke in championship games. McDavid, for some reason, he just chokes in championship games. The thing about McDavid, in championship games, he chokes, man. Like, he doesn't do that. He doesn't do that great in championship games, McDavid. It's very weird. Does amazing in the season, and in the championship games, he chokes. Obviously, McDavid, right? Maybe because of the pressure and he's nervous. Like, I don't know. He chokes in playoffs. I think that's the thing about McDavid. He has to stop choking in championship games. Because this team lost 2 years in a row to the 40 Pounders in the Stanley Cup. I mean, David even admitted in his press interviews that he choked. I didn't do that good. He admitted it. He chokes in championship games with McDavid. I think about McDavid, right? That's what separates Crosby from McDavid in championship games. McDavid chokes in championship games. That's the thing about it. Like Peyton Manning does, right? Peyton Manning also chokes in playoff games. He chokes like crazy, obviously, when he played, obviously. I think all you footballers are real. Even though Peyton Manning is amazing in the season, he chokes in playoffs. Yeah, he chokes in the playoffs. Whereas Tom Brady doesn't choke in the playoffs. He dominates in the playoffs. That's why he has 7 Super Bowl rings, right? That's why he's the greatest NFL quarterback ever, Tom Brady. Greatest quarterback, obviously, in NFL history. I don't think anyone will ever beat Tom Brady. He has unbeatable accolades. 7 fucking Super Bowl rings. No one will beat that. I don't think any quarterback will ever beat that in the NFL. That's crazy, man. You think Patrick Mahomes will beat Tom Brady? No, he won't. He might be lucky to get 4 or 5, but he's not going to get 7. Mahomes. Mahomes is an amazing quarterback. He'll be a legend. If Mahomes can put up the stats that he did in his prime, he'll be in the Hall of Fame. He'll be a legendary quarterback, but he's not Tom Brady. Mahomes, right? Don't hit me off Patrick Mahomes, and he's not Tom Brady. I don't think anyone will ever be as great as Tom Brady. Yeah, 7 Super Bowl rings, man. That's fucking crazy. 7 championships. Yeah, man. Yeah. And Team USA beat Team Canada in the Olympic Games, but they got lucky. I saw the highlights. Canada outperformed Team USA in the game. They could have won with many goal opportunities, but they just choked, and the USA got lucky and they scored. But the Canadians outperformed the Americans in the Olympic gold medal game, guys. Like yesterday, today or yesterday, whatever it is, they outperformed them. Because the Canadian hockey players are better than the American hockey players. They're the best hockey players in the world. USA got lucky and they just won, right? I mean, David choked in that game too. He didn't have an amazing performance. Obviously, he chokes in championship game, David. It's very weird. He has to stop choking and just relax and stop being nervous, right? I don't hate him, David. Yeah. Yeah. But if Crosby did not get injured, do you think Team Canada would have won? They probably would have won if they had McDavid and Crosby together, but Crosby got injured. If Crosby played, I guarantee you Team Canada would have won against Team USA. But I mean, they lost to Team USA in the gold medal round in the Olympics. Team Canada for the Hockey Olympics, right? My food's almost ready, guys. Yeah. Yeah. But it's risky, guys. I could flop as a player. So I don't want to hit that rate. That's why I'm most likely going to just, I'm like, BJ, I'm not going to set up Rocket League. I'll be movie star with you. I'll do the Great Save Counter. He's Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, right? Yeah. Or I might start Pro Hockey. It's tempting. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Yeah, we don't really care. Even you being a Pro Hockey player, that's fucking great. Yeah, it's glory, guys. But like, if I flop as a player, the sport anchors and all those guys are not going to be talking about me. I'm not going to be on the magazines. I'm not going to be on the commercials with the star players. I'm not a star player, so I don't want to flop. The more guys tell me, yeah, Ivan, you got to really train hard in stick handling, shooting, power skating, and that way you can be a star player. You got to be a star player in your league. I really want your league to make its money, man, and to have that, to build that buzz. The sport anchors and on the world going crazy about your games. Yeah, that's the key, right? That's the key. Oh, let me guys, I'm saying, yeah. Yeah, right. We saw your hockey video. That if that's you with no training, that's magic, Ivan. Like, that's amazing shit. Amazing stick hand skills for someone who never trained his life, Ivan. I know, guys, I have the God gene, but I might flop. I don't want to take that risk. It's risky. I might still, you never know, right? They delayed this until like 48, 50 years old. Let's see. Yeah. My slices are almost ready, guys. Yeah. Yeah. So the GMs are not allowed to pay a star player $32 million for 10 seasons. No. I'm not going to have these guys dupe me. Pay them $32 million for 2 seasons. They got to take the pay cuts. Pay them $32 million for 2 seasons, and after that they make $27 million for maybe 2-3 seasons. And after that they make $22-21 million for the next 2 seasons. And the final 2 seasons they make maybe $18 million with their league revenue and magazine deals. They get a magazine deal every maybe 3 years. That's a good deal for the players. Yeah. They still signed like what, a $250 million deal with this, right? Those players. So a player gets $32 million for 2 seasons. So $32 million times 2, 64, and they get $27 million for 3 seasons. That's $81 million. So 64 plus 81 million. That's already 145 million. That's 5 seasons. And they get 22 million for 3 seasons. That's 66 million. So 145 million plus what? 145 million plus 66, 211. Yeah, the players are signing like about a $300 million deal, man. 280, $300 million deal with their 290, $280 million deal with their league revenue. 300 million with their league revenue. These are the players who make. These are like the better star players. Well, players who make like 20, 25 million sign like about like a $2 maybe $30 million deal, $220 million deal, $240 million deal with their league revenue. That's enough money. And then once they make that money, they're not making that money ever again. I'm not gonna have these guys do me. Make 200 million, 180 million, 120 million, 150 million, 250 million, $300 million in career earnings for your first mega contract. That's enough money, and now you have to take a pay cut, and you're not going to make that money ever again in my league. I'm not going to have Zach's do me. You made enough money. I'm not going to have these guys do me. But you can, if you're still productive on the ice, still make your 10 million, 9 million a season. That's what star players make in the NHL. Like David's making like $12 or $5 million in the NHL right now as a star player. And Leon Draisaitl is making $14 million. He's making even more than McDavid, which is shocking, honestly. Because Leon Draisaitl, even though he's a star player for the Oilers, he's not McDavid. He's not generational talent like McDavid. The Edmonton Oilers are paying him more. Very weird. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot of money. Like that's how much the star players are in the NHL. So even when you're past your prime, you're still making the kind of money you're making that you would make as a star player in the NHL in your prime. So they're making more money. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, $50 million. Past your prime, you're still making a lot of money. You're not making the money you made previous, obviously, in your mega deal, your previous mega deal. Tyson Sarah. Yeah. My food's ready, guys. Get my food. Let my food cool a little bit. Why don't you get like McDonald's or snacks? Because I don't have enough to get that. I only got paid like about $100, so I only had enough to get slices for food. I have just enough money to get like a pack of smokes till Friday when I get paid. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I have enough to get my smokes. And Friday, I get my $600 check right from the government. Yeah, let my food cool a little bit. What kind of food you get? I got bacon lover, right? With the barbecue sauce, it's really good. This time they gave me the sweet barbecue sauce, not the other one. The other barbecue sauce they gave me wasn't that good, right? Yeah, the guy gave me a different barbecue sauce last time when I ate my slices, right? Yeah. I'm going to talk a little about the CFL. And after I'm going to go back and talk about the SHL, right? Yeah. If you think if the CFL hit 500 plus million, it's in a healthier position and they raise the cap to $9 million. Yeah, once the league hits like $500 million and the league raises the cap to like $9 million, the CFL GMs don't have to worry about losing their star players in the NFL. The American players won't really care about the NFL anymore because they're making more than enough money up here. They're making a great living up here. Obviously. Receivers can now peak at like $600K in the CFL with a $9 million cap. Obviously, defensive players can peak at like $500K, $450K in salary, a year in salary. That's a lot of money. It's not NFL money, but like if you're making that kind of money, you're rich and you're making a great living up here. Don't forget, you have there. If the CFL did hit that mark, the players would get bigger endorsement deals too, because the league is now a bigger league and they'll get a bit bigger endorsement deals. The star players in the CFL and quarterbacks are now could peak at like 1.3 million in a season in earnings, obviously, and minimum now salary for the quarterbacks maybe 600K to 1.3 million in earnings the quarterbacks are making. Right now, the CFL quarterbacks peak at $600,000. Nathan Rook is making that, but they can make double what they're making now with a $9 million cap. And CFL quarterbacks would decline NFL opportunities because they're making more money in the CFL than they would sitting on a bench in the NFL. Obviously, yeah. The GMs don't have to worry that much about the American players going to the NFL. Well, that's why the CFL is trying their best to grow to get the league to that level. That way they can pay the players more, and they don't have to worry about losing their star American players to the NFL. Even though some players would still probably go to the NFL, because the NFL can easily pay them more. It's not even close. But the CFL struggling. They're peaking at $300 million a season in revenue in the CFL. It's not good. This is after decades, like 50, 60, 70 years of CFL history. They're only peaking at $300 million after 60 plus years of his CFL history. So I have two answers. Either the fans of Canada CFL don't really care about Canadian football, because you're putting on quality football CFL with these American star players who you're marketing to the people of Canada, yet no one really cares, and your league is not growing CFL. You have minimal growth. Your league is doing maybe 8 million more a season in revenue. That's not growth, obviously. So either the fans of Canada just don't care about Canadian football, regardless of a nationality who you market, or there is a little bit of a bigger market for it, but it's not with your American star players you bring up here who are known to Canadian people. It's with your Canadian talent. Because the CFL is blinded by the American talent, they don't think the Canadian players are good enough to put on good quality football with people from Canada. Even I think they are. They're not going to do that. Yeah, we can't do that, Ivan. We can't do that. CFL's blind by the American talent, obviously. Yeah. I mean, that's funny, I know. Yeah. Ivan, are most of the CFL legends American guys? Yes, all the CFL legends are all these American guys the CFL brings up. There's barely any Canadian CFL legends, man, because most of the star players in the CFL are all these American guys, as the CFL brings up here. That's why there's barely any Canadian legends. That's why Russ Jackson's so respected, obviously, right? Yeah. CFL Canadian quarterback legend in the CFL. I think he has 1 or 2 rings. Only played for 12 seasons. He put up almost 30,000 yards in his career. Yeah. The one Canadian quarterback legend in CFL. I think Russ Jackson's the only Canadian quarterback legend, I believe, in the CFL. And yet the one Canadian CFL legend has a trophy named after him, and none of these American guys have a trophy named after them in CFL. I think you know. Fans love the Canadian players a lot more than the American guys. Yeah, we know it, but no, it's talent. Yeah, I know that's CFL, but you should buy my American talent. The fans love the American CFL legends. Yes, they do, but they love the Canadian guys more. I thought there's not that much Canadian CFL legends, not compared to the American guys, right? All the CFL legends are all these American guys. Yeah. The fans love Warren Moon. Yeah, they do. Like, Warren Moon's a legend in the CFL and the NFL. But, like, I don't mean to be rude. Even though Warren Moon is a legend in CFL, I'm talking to CFL. Warren Moon used the CFL as a farming to get an NFL shot. As once the NFL was interested in him, he was an undrafted free agent in the NFL back in the 70s, obviously. He got his opportunity up here in the CFL. He killed it up here. Had a legendary career. He won 5 straight Grey Cups in the CFL. That's why he's a legend. He only played for like 7-8 years in the CFL, Warren Moon. He killed it up here. The NFL was interested in him. CFL offered him a lot of money. I think they offered him a lot of money to stay, and Warren Moon left the CFL to play in the NFL. I'm sorry, guys, man. Like, I love playing in the CFL. My dream is playing in the NFL. He uses the CFL as a farm to get an NFL shot, Warren Moon. And it's an amazing story. He ended up starting in the NFL. He became a legend in the NFL, Warren Moon. Warren Moon has no rings in the NFL. Legend in the NFL, but he has no rings, right? But he threw for like 50,000 yards in the NFL. Threw for like 25 to 30,000 yards in the CFL. Threw for 50,000 yards in the NFL, and he's a legend in both leagues. Only guy who's a legend in both leagues. That's tough, right? To be a legend in 2 leagues. That's why CFL fans love Warren Moon, but they respect Russ Jackson even more than Warren Moon, man. They have a trophy after Russ Jackson, man. Wrong. Yeah, and you wonder why he's not growing CFL. Like, one of your legends CFL in your pro league, even though he's a legend in your pro league, like Warren Moon, I'm going to be rude, Warren Moon obviously used the CFL as a farm to get an NFL shot. As once the NFL was interested in him, he left the CFL. He went to the NFL. So he used the CFL as a farm to get an NFL shot. Even though he's a legend in the CFL, he used the CFL to get an NFL shot. Obviously, and the CFL wants to grow the league with these American players who never want to be here. They're only here by default, and some of them use the CFL as a farm to get an NFL shot, and they market those guys and name people. And you wonder why our league's not growing. Oh, instead of the best Canadian players who actually want to play here, man, they want to play like a lot of these Canadian players who get drafted, they want to be legends too in your league CFL, but you limit their opportunities because you just give all these American guys your opportunity to shine up here. Yeah, man. You wonder why our league's not growing. No, yeah. So the Canadian draft picks who get drafted want to be legends in the CFL. Of course they do. They have dreams and goals. I want to be a legend up here, but because of the American bias, barely any of them get to be legends, and because the CFL closes the doors on the best Canadian players, they give all these American guys time to shine up here, man. This is not even the league, not even from here, and a lot of these guys, they never want to be here. They're only here by default CFL. Yeah, had they went to the NFL, we never would have seen any of these guys. Come on. Try some sour. Yeah, but Ivan, a lot of CFL players stay up here. I get that CFL. A lot of these American guys who bring up here end up loving. They end up their stars up here. The fans love them. They end up staying up here, but they never. This is not the dream, guys. They're only here by default, man. Yeah, all the American guys say, "Well, yeah, Ivan, you're right. This is not our dream. Our team's not playing here, Ivan. We're only here because we didn't get our NFL shot. Yeah, because you didn't get an NFL shot, that's why you're here." And some of these American guys are using your CFL as a formula to get an NFL shot. It's just the truth. I don't mean to be rude. Yeah, we know that, but we don't care. Ivan, we lose a player in the NFL, we'll just grab them. Yeah, they'll just grab guys from the States, right? That's funny, I know. That's why the GMs don't really care, right? Because the American players are expendable. That's the truth, right? You lose a star player to the NFL, they'll just grab more talented guys from the States. There's a huge talent pool to choose from in the States, right? NCAA players, right? Division 1, Division 2 players to choose from. CFL grabs from the States. Yeah. Guys who got cut from NFL or guys who did not get drafted and didn't get an NFL, the CFL takes those guys. And having these stars up here, that's how it works, right? Yeah, we have to do that, Ivan, man. They're so talented, the American players. We got to get those leftover guys, Ivan. Yeah, because the CFL is blindly relying on the American talent to grow the league, regardless even if they're unfamiliar product they're trying to sell to the Canadian people. They don't care. Yeah, we don't care if they're unfamiliar product, Ivan. Like, they put on a show on television, and when they become CFL stars, their fans love them. I get that, CFL. But some of these guys who become CFL stars leave to the NFL, obviously. And those are the people you want to market to the people of Canada. And you wonder why your league's not growing. They never want to be your CFL. We know it, we don't care, Ivan. We've got to bring these guys up and have to start. Yeah, like the CFL's blinded by the American talent. They're fucking crazy people, man. That's a very weird way of growing your league, man. Players who did not get their NFL opportunity in their own country, you bring them up here to be stars, and some of them leave to the NFL. And those are the guys you market to the people of Canada. And you're pissed off that you have minimum growth, and you wonder why it's not growing CFL. Grow the Canadian football brand with American product, unfamiliar American product, talented product, but it's unfamiliar to the people of Canada. And some of that product you're trying to sell, CFL, never want to play in your league. And some of that product is using your CFL as a formula to get an NFL shot. Those are the people you market to the people of Canada. Obviously. And you hope to grow your league that way, and you're having minimal growth. So obviously something's not right. I told CFL, it's not about the quality of your game, right? Because you've been putting on quality football almost as good as the NFL for decades. Yet you're only peaking at $300 million a season revenue, man. Yeah. Sarah? Yeah. What's the CFL's peak, Ivan? 300 million. They peak at. That's like their highest peak so far, 300 million a season. That's not good, man. For a league that's been going on for decades, only 300 million. That's not good, man. CFL should be doing 500 to even 600 million a year in revenue. It's only peaking at 300 million, man. Yeah. Struggling with growth obviously, right? Do you believe the CFL players deserve a raise? Yeah, they do. They do, obviously. The CFL players played in the CFL do deserve a raise. quarterbacks in the CFL deserve to make their like $700K to like $1.2 million in the CFL, and the receivers and linebackers and all those guys deserve their 300 to like 600K in earnings. You deserve a bit of a raise, but because the league is struggling with growth, they're not going to pay the players that. They can't afford to pay the players that. Football's not popping in Canada. It's not that big of a demand for football in Canada. I believe there is a bigger market for it with the Canadian product, but even with the Canadian product, the CFL will peak at maybe $550, $600 million. Because football is just not that popular in Canada. It will never be the NHL. It's not even close. All right. Hockey is Canada's sport, not football. That's why CFL players are underpaid, right? Makes sense, right? Yeah. Easy, Ivan. That's cold, man. Is it really that bad in your pro league in Canada? Yeah, it is. CFL is the only league that has this problem, obviously. Only pro league in the world that has this issue, whereby they're envious of another country's talent. That's why they bring all the leftover guys, and have them be the stars up here over their own draft picks, who they drafted into the league, who the football fans know about, and some of them saw them in college. They just choose to bring up all these guys from the States and have them be the stars up here. Because they're envious of the NFL's talent, obviously. Yeah, we're envious by it, man. The Americans are so good, I mean, they're so talented. Like, the best Canadian players are talented, I am, but they're not the American guys, I mean. Yeah. I don't know, the best Canadian players in Canada talented, yes, they are. They're very talented players. But because the CFL is blinded by the American talent, yeah, Ivan, like the Canadian players are very talented, Ivan, but they're a little bit raw. But when we compare it to the best players in America, it's a bit of a letdown, Ivan. You have like a 13% dip in quality, a bit of a dip in quality. When you compare the quality of talent, it's a significant dip in quality. That's why they just bring all the leftover guys and have them be a stars here. Because they can't get the best talent. Say it's the CFL. The CFL is not for the American players. It's for the Canadian players. The NFL is for the American players. The NFL gets all the best talent. CFL can't get that talent. That's why they get the leftover guys, which is also amazing talent. Obviously, it's still amazing talent. The leftover guys, still fucking amazing players. Yeah, I mean they're amazing players. We are having guys come up here and be the stars. Yeah, and I told you, CFL. I'm gonna keep saying this. Don't hate him, son. You want to have these unknown American players who are very talented be the stars of your CFL. I keep saying this, you have no choice with the marketing of the Canadian people. Yeah, we know it, Ivan. You have to market them. And yet no one in Canada really cares about your games. Okay. You're peaking at like what, 500,000 people viewing your games, CFL. 450, 400, 500,000 people viewing your games. And you're marketing the heck out of all these American star players, and no one in Canada cares that much about your CFL games. So either people in Canada don't care about and don't forget CFL, you're putting on quality football on television with these American guys, right? Yeah, we are. Yeah, you're putting on amazing quality football, almost as good as the NFL. Not the NFL, but almost as good as the NFL. And that people kind of still don't care that much about your game, so it's like... So quality is obviously not the issue, it's something else. Not about the quality of the game, it has to be something else. You're a genius, I know. Yeah. think it has to do with the quality of the game, Ivan. CFL games. No. It's not about the quality of the game. As the CFL games are high quality, it's high quality football. It's almost as good as it's not the NFL, but it's not on the NFL's level, but it's almost as good as the NFL. Obviously. And yet no one in Canada cares about the CFL games. Obviously. Well, you guys have been saying, yeah, no one really cares about these guys that much. CFL markets them on TSN, these talented players on TSN, and no one in Canada cares. And I know why, because the product that CFL is trying to sell to the Canadian people is unfamiliar product. The fans are not familiar with the product they're trying to sell CFL. But the CFL doesn't care. We don't care if they're unfamiliar with it, as long as they put the product is amazing on the field. I get that. The product you're trying to sell, the Canadian people, is an amazing product, obviously, on the field. But if it's really about the quality of the game, CFL, your league should be doing 600 million in revenue. You're putting on amazing quality product on the field with these amazing American players you bring up here, and yet no one in Canada really cares, man. So obviously, it's not about the quality of your game; it's something else. Either just is no big market for football in Canada, or there is a bigger market for it, but it's not with your American star talent. It's not with your American product you're trying to sell to the American people, the Canadian people. It's with your Canadian products. The fans don't really care about these American guys you bring up here who are the stars of your league. They don't really care about these guys. That's my answer. Or they just don't care about Canadian football. One of those answers is true, obviously. Don't hate me, guys. Percent. Yeah. You're a genius, I know. Yeah. So you don't think it's about the quality of the game? No, it's not about the quality of the game. It's something else. Either fans of Canada just don't care about Canadian football. That's why you're not getting a boost in television ratings, CFL on TSN. Or there is a bigger market for it, but it's with your Canadian players. The fans care more about the Canadian players, will be more invested in your league if you market the Canadian product instead of the American product, and that's how your league grows. Even though there's a little bit of a dip in quality, the fans are going to love these Canadian players a lot more than these American guys you bring up here because they're homegrown talent. It's a pride thing, right? Yeah. More regardless, Ivan, you're such a fucking dick, man. Like, you're embarrassing us, Ivan. Like, you're making us look like fools. Well, you guys get what you deserve, man. You deserve to be exposed, man. This has been going on for decades, man. I've been watching the CFL since the late 90s. I'm sick and tired of this American bullshit, man. It's a fucking Canadian football brand, and all these American guys shine up here instead of your own Canadian draft picks, man. This has been going on for decades. And yet no one in Canada really cares about your games, and you're struggling with growth, and you wonder why your league's not growing. But I could be wrong. It might not make a difference even with the Canadian talent. Maybe you market the Canadian players and the fans still don't care. So one of these answers is true. Either the fans of Canada just don't care about Canadian football, that's why you're struggling with girl CFL, or they do. There is a bigger market for it, but it's with your Canadian players. The fans care. It's with your Canadian players. It's not with your American players. And guys, I know there will be a dip in quality. I don't know, a little bit of a dip in quality with the Canadian talent, but it's still quality football, guys. These are the best players in Canada. If you put them through better trade, you're gonna get a better performance on the field, man. As the CFL lost out on a lot of amazing Canadian talent because of their bias. Even the way for Ray, you're right, man. Like, there's a lot of great Canadian players the CFL lost because of the American bias, man. So many good players. It's crazy, man. Receivers, running backs. Like, a lot of amazing talent they lost because of their American bias, man. Obviously. The CFL doesn't care. We don't care if we lost the best Canadian talent. The American talent's the way to go, Ivan. Yeah, because they're blinded by the American talent and the envy the NFL's talent, obviously. Got some Sarah? Yeah. But if I pitch this to the Board of Governors, the Board of Governors will be shocked. Yeah, Ivan, like you're really good at convincing us, Ivan. It's almost like the answer is right in front of our eyes. For decades, we've just been bringing up all these American guys, how they be the stars of the leagues, how in the world. We draft all the best Canadian players and bet them our stars. Maybe that's the answer. Maybe the answer right in front of our eyes, but this might be risky, Ivan. They might tell me that, yeah. Hey guys, let me ask you a question. Obviously, the NFL Europe. What is yes, the NFL Europe does grab some players from other countries, obviously, but they'll grab maybe 4 or 5 players, 6 players from each country. But the majority of the star talent in that league is the best European players. You're the only pro league that does the CFL. You're the only league that drafts the best players in Canada, but you just bring up all these American guys and how they be the stars up here. Whereas all the other pro leagues in the world, they have the best players playing in that league are the best players in that country who are relatable to the people, who are more known talent to the people. But for some reason, the CFL, they just bring they bring amazing talent up here, the Americans, to be the stars up here, but they're unknowns. They're unfamiliar product to the Canadian people that the CFL is trying to sell. But the CFL just blindly relies on the talent of the product to sell to the people. Yeah, we don't care if they're unknowns to Canadian people. How we sell the brand is by their performance on the field line, when they put on the show. Yeah, I get that, CFL, but like they're unfamiliar product. You're trying to sell to Canadian people. People can't know anything about these guys, man. They're from a different country. Yeah. Let me ask you, all you NFL fans. If the NFL drafted all the best players in America and they brought up a bunch of Canadian football players up here down in the States and had the majority of them be the stars and they market the Canadian people and the American guys don't have an opportunity to shine, would you guys really care about the league? Yeah, we won't really care, Ivan, because like they're not American. We don't resonate with those guys. They're not from here. We don't know anything about these guys. Yes, that's what the CFL's doing, and you wonder why your league's not growing, CFL. You're a genius, I know. You know how low mine is, I know. I don't blow your mind away. Yeah, man. Yeah. All you football Canadian players, Ivan, thank you for signing up for us. Yeah, you're welcome, guys, but like, the CFL doesn't trust you guys, man. That's why you guys are not the stars. That's why all you draft picks in the CFL are not stars. Majority of you guys are not stars because the CFL doesn't trust you guys. They don't think you're good enough to put on good quality football with people from Canada. It's sad. It's like a betrayal to your own country, man. It's serious shit, man. Which has been going on for decades. The only pro league in the world that's envious of another country's talent. They just bring up all these American guys how to be the stars up here. Only pro league that does this, man. All the football pro leagues in the world, the best players playing in that league are the best players in that region, man, in that country, whatever it is, right? NFL is the best American players. Pro Football Japan is the best Japanese players. NFL Europe is the best European players. CFL, it's what? It's American players playing who are the stars of the league, who are not the best players in America, obviously. And they draft the best Canadian players, but like the Canadian players are not the stars of the league. The American guys are the stars of the league because the CFL doesn't think the Canadian guys are good enough to put on good quality football with people from Canada. Sad, man. Ivan, it's cold, man. I know it's cold. Serious shit, man. It's so serious, you can make a documentary out of this, man. Exposing the CFL, right? Been going on for decades, guys. Like 50, 60 plus years, this has been going on. And the league is only peaking at $300 million. So obviously the fans of Canada only care about your American star players, CFL. Or they just don't care about Canadian football. That's the other answer. One of those answers are true. You the fans of Canada just don't care about your American star players you bring up here, obviously, even though they're putting on a show, obviously, or they just don't care about Canadian football. One of those answers are true. One of those answers are obviously true. Yeah. Don't hit me, guys. You're right. You could be wrong. Maybe the American talent is the way to go. I'm not wrong. I know I'm not wrong because this has been going on for decades, and the CFL is only peaking at 300 million a season in revenue. See, if it's like 5, 10 years, okay, you can give it room to grow. But this has been going on for decades, man, like 50 plus years in the CFL. They just kept bringing up all these American guys, having these stars up here, and the CFL is only peaking at $300 million after like 50, 60 plus years of CFL history. They're only peaking at $300 million. So there's your answer, right? There we go. Yeah, man. And that pizza was good. Yeah. Obviously. But hopefully the CFL can grow. If the CFL can grow up to $500 million in maybe 20 years, and I was wrong, maybe the American talent is the way to go. And all you CFL players playing in the CFL, you guys can get your raises. Because you guys do deserve a raise. I'm going to stand up for all you CFL players. You guys do deserve a raise, but because your league is struggling, that's why the CFL can't pay you guys more. You have to hold on to that cash. Yeah, it'd be nice for us CFL players to get a raise. Yeah, you guys do deserve a raise. Like the cap in the CFL deserves to be at least at $9 million. That way you can pay these star players more money. These players more money. What I mentioned before, obviously. But like because the CFL is struggling, the CFL can't afford to pay the players that. Obviously, so hopefully the league grows, and the players can make more money. Enough about that, right? Talk about the SHL for like 8 minutes, right? Yeah. Yeah. What if the press in the SHL demands like their millions? They're not worth that. I'm not gonna have these guys do me, man. No, guys, you're not worth that. I can start you off at 200K, have the press peak at about 400K in earnings. That's enough money for the press. Yeah, the press who have experience working at NHL, you can start them off at $300,000. The ones who don't have as much experience, you can start them off at 200K. That way they get paid good money. That's a lot of money for the press. They're making a great living with that money. Yeah. And the play-by-play guys, you can start them off at 300K. They don't peak any higher than 750K. The guys who have like 20, 30 years experience, you can start them off at 500 plus thousand a season. They don't make the NHL. They make like 300K around the NHL, right? The guys who have experience. That way they get paid good money. And you pay for their per diem and their hotel. It's a good deal for those guys, the play-by-play guys. Yes, I'm sorry? Yeah. If they want like 2-3 million, they're not worth that. My guys, you're not worth that, man. I'm not going to pay you that. You don't pick any higher than 70K. 70K is good enough for the play-by-play guys. Living your life with that money. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Ivan, I want my 32 million for 10 seasons. I know you do, but you're not worth that. At least do me. I'm not worth that, man. You're not worth that. I'm not having guys do me, man. Yeah, man. They're not worth that. There you go. Yeah, you have to take pay cuts. That works, right? You can get your 32 million for 2 seasons. After that, you gotta take your pay cuts. That works. I'm not having guys do me. Yeah, why would you care about overpaying these guys? Like, what they're making compared to how much you're making is peanuts. I get that, but I'm not gonna have these guys do me, man, and overpay them, and have them rip me off like that, man. They're ripping you off. Why would you if they make that kind of money, Ivan? You pay a player 250 million for his mega deal, 300 million for his mega deal, and you really think I want to give you another 300 million deal when you're not even in your prime anymore? You're fucking crazy. I'm not gonna have you have 500. 600 million in career earnings. You're not worth that, man. They're not worth that. These athletes, they're duping you, Ivan. They're ripping you off. You overpaid them and they ripped you off. I know it's peanuts, guys, compared to how much money I'm making, but I'm not gonna have you guys do like that, man. No way, man. I'm not having you guys do like that, man. You get paid for what you're worth, man. That's how it works, right? In acting, in pro sports. I'm not gonna have the Hollywood actors do me. I'm not gonna have these athletes do me. Whichever career path I choose, right? I'm not gonna have, most likely movies are right. I'm not gonna have these athletes do me. Sarah? Yeah. Yeah, but Ivan, it's peanuts. I know it's peanuts, guys, but you're not worth this, man. You're no longer in your prime. You're not gonna get that same deal again. You have to now take your pay cuts. That's how it works. And you're not gonna get league revenue anymore. You're not going to get your big magazine deals anymore. That's how it works. Not having guys do me. All the star players do me, right? Do the good players have to take pay cuts? Yes, they do. The good players have to take pay cuts too. That's how it works, right? Yeah. The good players made like they were 10, 11, 12, 13, 9 million in their prime as good players. And now that they're veteran players, they have to take pay cuts. They're going to make their $3, $4, $5 million a season, which is still good, right? For the good players, they'll probably peak at maybe $6 million. That's still good. You made your like 12, 13, 11, 10 million, 9 million in your prime as a good player. And now you have to take pay cuts. You're going to make your 3, 4, 5 million. Peak at maybe 6 million a season. That's still good. You have to take smaller pay cuts. But the good players don't have to take as big of a pay cuts as the star players, because they didn't make as much money in their career. They take smaller pay cuts. They go from maybe 10 million, 11 million to maybe 6 million, 5 million. Whereas the star athletes took huge pay cuts. They made like their 30 million, 25, 20 million. Now they're making like 13, 11, 10, 9. They took huge pay cuts because they made way more money than the good players. Good players take smaller pay cuts because they didn't make as much money as the star players. That way you make it fair. They can make more money. But the star players have to take huge pay cuts because they made a ridiculous amount of money in their prime when they signed their huge deals. So it works, right? I have guys do me. Yeah, man. That's what the guys are asking for, like, shit. Yeah, man, if you do that, man, you're gonna crush us, man. You're missing all that, like, fame and fortune. Yeah, world famous and all that, the buzz of the league and the players and that, all that money. You're missing all that money. That's why they have to fight shit, obviously. Yeah, man. That's why the SHL will blow the NHL water. Anyways, guys, this is where I talk for now. That's good enough. It's Iron Man saying, peace. I'm going to enjoy the show with you guys with my remaining 3 beers. Enjoy the show, you guys. It's Iron Man saying, peace. Peace out, guys. Don't hate me, guys. Peace.